beware of spoilers! Oh, and to all the minors out there, you better have proper parental guidance. So, you're probably an anime fan, and you probably want to know about how misogyny works. First off, we're not going to use Naoya Zenin as our main reference, because Naoya Zenin of Jujutsu Kaisen is a goon of misogyny. A very damaging goon, but still a goon. Sure, maybe we can refer to him and his family, his clan, and maybe find some behavior, some actions that match actual examples of misogyny in real life, systemic misogyny, but no, we're not gonna go into that. We're going into a crash course here. And yes, I know Naoya Zenin has a symbolic second form, but there is someone in the realm of anime, someone older than he is, that is more symbolic. I think we can even call him an embodiment, if not the embodiment of misogyny. So this embodiment of misogyny, this frog we will dissect in our learning of the anatomy of misogyny, is none other than Fate's Zokenmato. Now you may be thinking, but that's a more obviously evil guy. Well, I'll point you to something obvious about him. He's old. Now think about that some more. Think about a cop, a soldier, who is old and still working their job. It doesn't matter whether you're like cops and soldiers or not. If they're old, they're very likely to be dangerous, don't you think? So yeah, Zokenmato's character design is that of a veteran villain. But in truth, veteran is an understatement because this old man is over 500 years old. Now someone of that age is someone we would call ancient. And you know what else is ancient? Misogyny. So much that, you can find people arguing that Adam was a misogynist when he blamed Eve for him eating the forbidden fruit. And Zokenmato's quote-unquote grandson, who's more like one of his descendants, that guy is a Naoya Zenin before we got Naoya Zenin. So what makes Zokenmato an embodiment rather than a goon of misogyny? Well, let me introduce to you his crest worms. You wouldn't want to see what this looked like in the original Eriga form. Now, these crest worms have various forms and functions, but we're gonna focus on one form and the way it functions on men and women. And that form is the lust worm. And those worms are why Fate Stay Night's third root is harder to censor than the two roots before it. You see, in Fate Stay Night, which was originally an Eriga, an erotic visual novel, an erotic game, sex is also a power-up, mana transfer. And you know what the lust worms do to women? They push women to seek that. Now, while Fate Stay Night shows us what those lust worms do to women, Fate Zero, the prequel novels, show us what they do to men. There's no sex, only death. And that death is very slow and very painful. And all I need to tell you to know how bad it is, aside from that, is that it starts from the spine. It starts eating the insides of a man from the spine. And lust worms working on men doesn't stop at eating a man's insides. It also gives the man power. It powers up the man. It powers up the man, but still, it's killing the man, drives him insane through that slow and painful death. In other words, while crest worms force women to gain power by making themselves sexual objects, they spitefully empower men to death. And I think they ring very familiar to me. I mean, for example, think of the people who hype up female idols being horny until they start visibly hanging out with male idols. And think of the people who have secret group chats dedicated to the so-called locker room talk about women. And when they get exposed, they throw each other under the bus. And think about when there is a celebrity woman publicly known as a victim of abuse, of harassment, who gets all these people who claim to be helping her by exposing even more of her suffering, all while mobbing anyone they think is supporting the abuse and harassment. Think about all that. So yeah, thinking about it some more, lust worms don't just encourage lust for sex, they also encourage lust for power. And the different ways that lust worms treat men and women, they're quite the clear picture of what misogyny looks like at its very core. And that is a hater of women, a very massive hater of women, and an even bigger hater of men. And that is why I consider Zoken an embodiment of misogyny. And that's just the basics. Now, to give you even more of an idea about how Zoken embodies misogyny, 1, he put those worms inside a little girl. 2, he had his quote-unquote grandson commit adoptive incestuous assault on that girl as they grew up. 3, he hid his core inside the heart of that girl. And 4, he managed to inspire parents, yes, parents, into doing something similar, no, worse, to their own daughter in Fate Strange Fake. Yeah. Very horrible. Feels like an understatement, no? And if you thought he couldn't embody misogyny any more than he already has, no. That human form you see Zoken having, that is not his original body anymore. That there is what his soul looks like, as Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia once said. That is what Zoken soul looks like, as depicted by the worms. In fact, he is the worms. So yeah, if you think Naoya Zenin, Shinji Mato, if you think those guys are embodiments of misogyny is way ahead of you at the moment. And one thing I realized from this, luckily for you, is that cancel culture is a lot more misogynistic than we think. And you know what else will help fight misogyny? Genuine male friendship. Genuine friendship. And you think you fear the friend zone? Don't. Because friendship may not be romance, but friendship is freaking precious. Now, am I gonna say yes to everything you do? No. But I am going to help you do the right thing. Though, it's not always me. It's likelier that, the friend you need isn't even me. So, I hope you get out there. Find that friend. Maybe they're already with you. And they're just waiting for you to reach out and get the help you need. So yeah, I could tell you to go to hell or say that you won't ever change for the better. Like you're irredeemable, but no. I am not going down the misogynistic road, as tempting as it has been for me for so freaking long. And if I waver, you are free to roast me. You are free to roast me, to give me the L I need to take. All right?